All right, folks, we are back. So are the Yankees, staying in the win column, winning this series. Thank God. We got a show for you today. Brian Cashman trade deadline comments came out, so we'll be diving into that. We'll also be talking about Jason Dominguez's defense. I think you know where we're going with that one. And JC Escara taking on Austin Wells. Potentially, could he win that job? We're going to talk about that as well as recap the game, preview tomorrow's game against the Angels. And, of course, shout out to our sponsor, ProfitX. We'll be going over ProfitX picks for tomorrow. Code YANKSU, of course, when you sign up for that. And I have to, of course, say, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Glad you're here. Welcome in. Gary, we're not going to spend too much time on the Yankees barely beating the Rockies 5-4. We spent about an hour and 45 waiting for the game to come back, and thank God it did. We'll explain why. But let's just dive right into the Brian Cashman trade deadline comments, because this stuff came out today, and you and I both had kind of the same idea. It's a little surprising. So what were your thoughts on these? I'll let you read them. I assume they're in front of you, so I'll let you do the honors, and then let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of questions of whether or not you're satisfied at third base or the presence at all of DJ LeMahieu. DJ LeMahieu was a player that a lot of our audience said, well, why is he even on this team to begin with? Then Jazz Chisholm, who was playing poorly, A, and then B, all of a sudden it's like, well, he's down, and that's no surprise. I mean, you've mentioned his injury history before, so has our chat, and so have I. So having said all this, there were some question marks around the field that I think there should be some point of emphasis there. And yet, this is a quote from Brian Cashman, pitching. We will view the market for starters and relief pitchers. And as you know, the market does not develop until after the draft, which is true. We will look at infield as well, but DJ LeMahieu's back, and Jazz will be back soon. So, Jake, it seems like a lot of the answers when we were asking our audience, what do you want this team to do at the deadline? A lot of folks said, I want another arm at the back end of that bullpen. And I sort of agreed. And a lot of other folks said, there definitely could be an emphasis in this starting rotation. I don't trust a Will Warren in a big game, and that's understandable. He's a back end of your rotation arm, and we have injuries at the front end of our rotation, losing Garrett Cole all year. So I do agree with the point of emphasis. This Yankees team, if they want to just run through the finish line, they're going to have to pitch their way there. But Jake, I personally have always put a major emphasis on the fact that this Yankees team has to be able to put together quality at-bats in the postseason. Yes, you actually look up at our division in the AL East, it's a stinker. There's a new team in second place every single day, and today it just so happens to be the Tampa Bay Rays sitting 6 games back. This division is not good, and at some point, some team behind us is probably going to turn it on. You just mentioned off-air, it could be the Red Sox. But Jake, where I'm at with this, does it really matter if we have an automatic ticket punch to the dance if you can't dance when you get there? This team has to fill in the holes. So is it enough for Brian Cashman to go out there and focus on pitching? I don't know. I guess we're going to see which names come through the door.
Yeah, we're definitely going to find out. The pitching comment was really interesting because I don't really look at the Yankees right now and think, yeah, they really need an arm. I'm thinking they're missing about one more bat, and it's why I've brought up, who's now injured, by the way, I brought up Bregman so much. And now, you know, the Cardinals, it wasn't that long ago, the Cardinals looked like, oh, yeah, it's going to be another kind of tough year for them. Now they're 7 games above 500, so no Brendan Donovan as long as they're competing. So it's going to be interesting because I don't think that there's a ton of guys out there. I think there were people banking on, you know, before the season started, oh, why are the Cubs going after Kyle Tucker? They're terrible. They're going to be a down. And, well, right now they got him. They got PCA. They feel good about where they're at. So I don't see them obviously making a trade or anything. So you look at it and you're like, okay, some of these guys that maybe have been penciled in as maybe targets around the deadline, Gary, they're no longer going to be available in all likelihood. So you got to really start to pivot. And I agree with you. I wouldn't mind adding another bullpen arm. I will say this. I think the bullpen is almost in their quote-unquote final form. I think they need 1 or 2 more guys. Obviously at least one, because I like Hedrick coming up. but I have my issues with as you know, I have my issues with Tim Hill. I have my issues with Ian Hamilton. I've defended Ian Hamilton countless times, but I wouldn't mind them adding another lefty. I think it'd be cool to get a lefty at the back end of that bullpen instead of another righty, which is why Finnegan on the Nationals, who has been linked to the Yankees, I think he'd be a good fit, Gary, but he is a righty, right? So I'd like to see some, diversity there in that bullpen, get another lefty at the back end of it and kind of pair him or, trio him, I guess, with, guys like Luke Weaver and, of course, Devin Williams, who Williams looks as good as anybody right now. So, there's...
Yeah, Devin Williams had to fight against it today. Like, it wasn't the easiest outing, there's nothing wrong with that. Not every outing is going to look like a Luke Weaver experience where it's 0-2 almost every at bat. He puts it away very quickly. Very obvious approach of how he's going to go about it in a way where he's not Mariano Rivera, but he's not wasting any time. So when you see pitchers do it another way, it's not very comfortable, but credit to Devin Williams. He got through it. He got the outs we clearly had to have. And he's now being trusted in a role in high leverage. So I guess the question is, not do you think, does a player that's on our roster, do you think they should be on the roster, during the regular season? Do you think they can help us win a division? But the question is, during the deadline, some of these names, I understand that there are a lot of teams out there that they say, well, we just need the depth to help us through this marathon of a regular season. But if the Yankees are looking at a 6-game lead that potentially could be larger by the deadline, my thing is that the focus shouldn't be necessarily on the division, but top-end talent to help you get over the hump. So that's where I'm at with this team. And you mentioned a bat, and I think that's interesting. And we do have an injury update on Giancarlo Stanton. Brian Cashman said he's scheduled for live batting practice over the next 2 weeks, and he's really close to doing a rehab assignment thereafter. So you have to figure rehab assignment, he's taking live BP, probably about a month and, 5-6 weeks at most. And then all of a sudden we have this conundrum where Giancarlo Stanton and Ben Rice are essentially taking turns being a DH. And then when Giancarlo's out there, maybe you give Goldschmidt a day off. So that is going to help this Yankees team. The fact that Giancarlo has plenty of other guys on this roster we can trust to take at bats. Jake, you've mentioned the ops that we have from 5 or 6 different names. Giancarlo is going to be able to take a day when he needs it. Technically speaking, this is probably the best lineup the Yankees have had in order to protect assets in terms of depth. So my thing is this Yankees team needs to build. It's the last thing I'll say. They need to build for the big games. That's what they have to focus on. And as of now, their depth, and especially what some young players are doing, seems to be doing all it needs to do. So I'm pleased. I'm pleasantly surprised over what some guys are doing, especially young players. But Brian Cashman's job is not to build just a good team. It's his job to have the best team at the end of the year. So I want his deadline to reflect that.
Yeah, I think you can make the argument if the Yankees get a good deal on a player, just go out and just do it, right? Because this is a team that is trying to win now. And man, I hate saying that because that is just so, like, of course, they're the New York Yankees. Like, why would they not be trying to win now, right? But all jokes aside, I mean, this is a team that is, they just were in the World Series. So they are trying to win a World Series. And if you do believe in that, then yeah, like if you have a chance to upgrade your team, what's the thing we always hear from executives and GMs? Like, yeah, we're always evaluating the roster, no matter what sport you're talking about, no matter what league, we're always evaluating ways to upgrade our team. That's what they always say. Are they really, though? That's the question. And I think the Yankees are. Now, what's interesting here is that, in these comments, okay, you have pitching. We will view the market for starters and relief pitchers. And as you know, the market does not develop until after the draft. We will look at infield as well, but DJ LeMahieu is back and Jazz will be back soon. It's interesting that he mentioned Jazz and DJ.
How would DJ affect your deadline? I mean, I think that's insane to say.
The Jazz thing is really interesting to me, Gary, because I actually thought deep down they were planning on trading him. Like, I thought it could get to that point where they trade him and they get another maybe disgruntled infielder, but it's just like a new fit for them type deal. I could have seen that. I gotta shut this down. I love Bowden. He came on our show before. I do not want Ryan McMahon. I think he is one of the most overrated players in baseball. Like, if you think I thought J-Rod is overrated, Ryan McMahon is overrated. Okay?
You know who he reminds me of, by the way? He reminds me, what's his name for, you'll think of it, I'm sure. The lefty from Minnesota, the outfielder that they always said we wanted.
Oh, no, not him. He's on the Phillies. I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, my God. Keller? No. What is it? Is it Keller? No.
No, it is not.
What's his last name?
For those of you in the audience, if you can please put his name in the chat. I know who you're talking about. Kepler.
Kepler.
Again, thank you so much for our audience. Tony is on it.
I love that Tony was on it. I love that you guys
It's exactly the same production. It's some slapdick lefty who's going to go out there and hit 223. He's going to show up to the Yankees. He's going to hit 184. We're going to get rid of him a year later.
Yeah.
Just get somebody who's proven in their skill set is a strength that fills in a need the Yankees currently have. It's as simple as that. So
he's a great fielder, right? I don't want to take anything away from him. A great fielder. So, but he's hitting 211, and he honestly, I think, was barely hitting above 200 before this series.
He's in a bounty house in Colorado,
and that's my thing. Like, okay, so his average exit velocity is 98th percentile or 97th percentile, but his career batting average is 241. His career OPS is 743. And this is one of those, it's funny. Ryan McMahon is a player who was killing it one of those trade deadlines, Gary. You know how I always make fun of the All-Star game because it's only half a season. Oh, you had a great half season, and then you could just turn into a potato the rest of the year. Well, that's essentially what Ryan McMahon is. Ryan McMahon will get off to like some crazy start, although he hasn't now. But he's had those crazy starts in the past, and I think that's why he's gotten that reputation. And it's like, man, are the expectations that low where you're totally fine trading prospects for a 753 OPS, a guy that hits 240, has 23 bombs? I mean, in 627 plate appearances? I don't know. This is a premium position offensively, and if you're going to upgrade over a Bibas or Peraza, or say you get a guy like this, LeMahieu's not even playing probably, right? Because you'd be trading a lot for him. I need to see a legitimate upgrade. LeMahieu is actually out-hitting Ryan McMahon right now. The intriguing part is, McMahon does have a lot of red in that baseball savant, but he strikes out a ton. I don't want to have another one of those guys. I mean, we've seen that, right? So, I am not a Ryan McMahon fan. Nothing against him personally. I just, show me, don't tell me, right? I always hear all the time. I've seen it way before we started Yankees Unloaded, Gary. Everyone told me I was wrong because they're like, oh, Max Kepler. I was like, no, Max Kepler's terrible. He's horrendous. He had one amazing year where Minnesota fans finally had joy in their life for the first time ever, and they literally tried to compare him to Aaron Judge. We all laughed because we knew it was, it was just the sign of the times. It was just 1 year, and they didn't listen. And then sure enough, literally the next year, Kepler falls off a cliff. And guess what? He's not just, can he recapture? No, he's not there anymore. The difference between him and Bellinger is Bellinger's really talented. He found a new way to impact the game. Kepler hasn't found that way. He's just not a good baseball player. He's good in the sense of him being in the MLB, but he's not an MLB slugger. He's not a top player.
Right.
And this happens. This is why, Gary, the trade deadline. It's why I always say, remember I was telling you about this. At the end of the day, you can find some pretty good stuff at a garage sale if you look hard enough. But there's also plenty of garage sales that are just sending you, like, they're selling complete slop. And let's not forget, if you're selling something, it means you do not want it. That's what it means. You can say,
is that what it is? Because all the baseball fans, they always tell me, I want to trade this player and I want to go get this player. I'm like, well, you realize
he's not on the Yankees.
You can't get rid of a player that you don't want, and then someone else is going to want them and then give up something that now you want in exchange. It just doesn't work that way. And by the way, Jake, I want to throw this up on the screen before we move on to the defense, obviously, that we saw from Jason Dominguez. We'll talk about it as a whole. And I like this because, mind you, not everybody in our chat or has to agree with our approach or something that's happening. But I want to do I want to throw this up on the screen. David Lawrence, again, thank you so much for being here and participating with us. He says, every year it's a trade for this dude, trade for that. Most of the guys end up sucking.
Yes.
LOL. And you know what? Here's something that I'm willing to acknowledge completely, especially on our show, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to acknowledge this is essentially what is just going to happen. This is a symptom of being a contender. And obviously contender is interchangeable. People say, well, we're not contenders. I don't think we're going to win the World Series. If you're a team that's even in the conversation to be there at the end of the year, you are going to be in heavy trade talks every single year. Why? Because last year, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I'm going to use them as a perfect example, everyone in the Dodgers organization, that includes their fans, which is short for fanatics, that's all this is, we are fanatics, they said, we need more depth in our starting rotation. We have an injury-plagued roster. Clayton Kershaw is at the back end of his career, probably can't give us really anything, and he's still out there hardly giving anything. And yet, people said, what are we trading for? That was the conversation. I'm well aware of all the podcasts, all the talk shows, and MLB Network and ESPN. They hardly talk sports anymore. But the point is, they were saying, who is going to be that name? Who's that person going to be? What player off of some team that's not playing well are the Dodgers just going to go poach this guy and then go do something with it? Who was that player last year, Jake? It was Jack Flaherty. And the Yankees didn't want to go get this player because of physicals, right?
Yep.
This player was a player that the Yankees
stuff.
said, we do not trust his physicals. Now, maybe that was a mistake that we made after watching what happened with Frankie Montas, right? Now, wouldn't that have impacted our pennant race? And obviously we end up winning the pennant, but our chances in the World Series, if we had gotten Flaherty instead of the Dodgers, now would it have changed the results? I have no idea, but one thing I do know is who was pitching game 2 or game 3 of the World Series would have been different. So, David, to your point, more times than not, trades turn into being nothing burgers. That player hardly makes an impact at all. But you know what? There are plenty players in this game's history that were picked up via trade and made a major impact, especially for a contender. And Jake, last thing I'll say before we get to this Dominguez thing, the difference between winning a World Series and winning a pennant for the Yankees is massive. The difference between us getting very close, we get to game 5 of the World Series, we get sent packing, everyone's disappointed, and us, completing the last out, fly ball to Cody Bellinger or Aaron Judge out in the outfield, and we're popping champagne, the feel of this organization is just night and day different. So if you think I'm not going to be talking about the players that could possibly be added to this organization, you are definitely confused, because I promise you, I'm going to be talking about it till I'm blue in the face, or at the very least till the deadlines pass.
Yeah, no, of course. It's more so like the random players that get like pushed so hard. Like Kepler, Jake McCarthy. Oh, he's a great fielder. Okay, but like his bat sucks. And you're literally hating on the guy who's already fielding because his bat sucks. So it's like, why can't I go out and get a better option? Brian Reynolds is a player I never wanted. I thought he was overrated. Every single Yankee fan I came across on social media was telling me how Brian Reynolds is so great, right? They need to trade away Jason Dominguez. They need to trade away Spencer Jones. They need to trade away Clark Schmidt, whatever. Just get it done. Brian Reynolds right now is batting .212. He has a .617 OPS. Brian Reynolds, literally the last 2 years before that, hasn't had an OPS over 800. He's also one of the worst fielding outfielders in the league. Like, if you look at his Savant page, it's like all blue except for a few different things. But that's a player that people wanted to trade and empty out the farm system for. And this is where I tend to agree with, okay, yes, I agree they need a bat. I'm not saying they don't. But I'm also saying that I think you need to go after a quality guy. And I've seen this in the comments section. I think it was Dave. I'm not sure. I just saw it, David. Or it might have been Ray. But I saw in the comment section earlier, someone said, like, getting somebody who could be a real difference maker. And that's what I agree with, Gary. Just going out and finding just a guy, like a Jag, that's stupid. They go out and they find a Jag last year in J.D. Davis. What did he do? Don't go out and get Jags.
Is there such thing, though, as emptying your farm system? Because I don't necessarily remember. If you actually remember, right, the Cincinnati Reds were like, we want this player from Seattle, right? You guys got to send us Anthony Volpe. If we had just gotten rid of Anthony Volpe for Luis Castillo, would that have been, like, even if he turned out to be better, I guess, than he is today, is that really emptying your farm system because you got rid of one player that you really could use?
Well,
like, to some degree, it's also about not necessarily the player you lose, but more so when you're actually going for it. Like, you remember 2 weeks ago you were talking about, well, Aaron Judge he's not old. He's 32. Yeah. Well, we want to win here in the next 2 or 3 seasons. Like, that's the goal. We're not trying to get to Max Fried's year 4 or 5. We're not trying to get to Garrett Cole age 39 to go win a title. We want to win in these next 2 years. That's our goal. So you may lose out on some value. You may trade a player you have use for, but is there anything technically more valuable to the Yankees than something they can use right now? That's just sort of where I'm at. Like, at some point or another, Brian Cashman's going to have to say, I don't want to lose that player at all. And it's obvious. Don't tell me that there's some guy hidden in your system hitting 300 in AA. No, who's the obvious name that the Yankees clearly could use? And Spencer Jones, there's plenty of names, right? Augustin Ramirez is one of those names. At some point, the Yankees have to say, we'll lose out on some value here, and we'll make the aggressive play. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And obviously, I do want to shift this conversation to the defense because Jason Dominguez today, at least on that fly ball that we saw to left center field, the defense has obviously, it's to be desired. And it's so strange because the Yes broadcast covers it as something that will be ever-changing. Obviously, because of the athleticism, the sheer speed that he has, this is something that Aaron Boone's talked about. But, Jake, that fly ball today, it just should have been caught. And it's wild to me, a player with this type of speed, his route to that baseball was, you called it a zag, that was a zigzag. He literally started running towards the center fielder and then said, hold on a second, this ball's over my head, and just started running directly behind him. And I'm not asking him to turn into Jerry Rice and make the most precise route to the baseball here, but
good one.
You do have to make a better judgment than that. So
you're talking
I'm
about the
be paying close attention
play,
to
right?
how this changes. What's up?
Are you talking about the Loizaga play? Because that was the only hit he gave up, and that
it was the ball to left center field. I'm fairly certain it was out the hand of Loizaga.
Yeah,
but I think a lefty hit it. Oppo.
Yeah, I remember that because I couldn't. I knew exactly what you're talking about with Jason Dominguez, but I like that. I think it was Flaherty that brought it up. It was like that needs to be caught. Like that was he had a bad break on it, and we saw it. It's frustrating. It's one of those things I think we're just gonna have to live with. Obviously, hopefully he gets better, but yeah, it's exactly what I said the other day. The thing that is frustrating the most is that he has the athleticism where that needs to be caught. Like if you just weren't an athlete, you had a 17 sprint speed or whatever, 17th percentile, wouldn't get on him as much. You'd be like, he wasn't going to get to it anyway.
I saw it on Twitter. Someone literally said to me, I'm just going to call it Twitter. I don't care what they call it now.
Yeah.
They literally were like, well, you just have to live with this. And I agree with that like overall assessment that this is not a strength of his. His strength and the reason he's a top prospect is not because of what he does with his glove or his arm or even the speed. It's the bat. What he does from the left side in particular, that's the reason why we have him on the field at all. But at the same time, this isn't David Ortiz. It's not like we put some 6'4", 245-pound guy and like it's not like we threw Kyle Schwarber in left field. It's not that. We literally put. How athletic do you think Jason Dominguez is? I'm actually going to ask that question. How would you rank him on this team in terms of athleticism? Is he the first, second most athletic player on the team? He might be first.
Here's how I look at Jason Dominguez. I look at him like when you take like the NFC West quarterbacks, who's the most like talented, right? like as far as like pure talent, like using athleticism and everything, it's Kyler Murray. Like, is he the best? No, but he's the most like raw, you know what I mean? Like talent.
Yeah, he's
like,
not even close to as good of a player as like a Stafford, but you should, if you can run, you've got a cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
We can't necessarily say you're inaccurate. You're not dumb, right? You're getting smarter, you're developing, and yet you turn around and say this less athletic guy in baseball sense, he's just getting to the ball. Like Cody Bellinger, he's supremely athletic. Like his step from home to first, he flies. But I would probably say that Jason Dominguez is still a better athlete, and yet if there was a fly ball in Game 5 of the World Series, I'll tell you right now, I may have a stroke if a fly ball goes to Jason Dominguez in a big game.
Oh boy, yeah. Let's not even imagine that, because that's scary.
And I don't want to make it seem, Jake, like I'm. Oh, this is going to happen, but
No,
it's clearly a
I'm not.
weakness that the Yankees and Aaron Boone's going to have to. He's going to have to manage this. He's going to have to figure out when to put him on the field and when to take him off. So it's interesting.
I would say, because I actually think he's a better athlete than Jazz.
I would agree.
And I think a big thing with Jazz that a lot of people don't know is, or you might notice it, he doesn't always run as fast as he's capable of. Like, he almost kind of like, and that's honestly, like, I watched Volpe, and I think Volpe puts in more effort on the base pass than Jazz does.
I agree 100%. I feel like Jazz gives you like that turkey bowl Thanksgiving football job 3/4 of the time.
Like,
and then all of a sudden you see him turn it on. They're like, there's a speed. I'm like, I had to wait 2 weeks to see that.
Well, my issue with that is I feel like, and again, I like Jazz. I hate like, crapping on him. But like my biggest thing here, Gary, is there's a thing where your athleticism is so good that you use it as like a peace of mind. And that's what Jazz does. He uses it for peace of mind. He knows, he's like, I'm easily going to get this double. I'm going to come in standing up, and it's all good. Jason Dominguez is hustling from first, trying to score from first, until Rojas stops him. And then he runs to the stop sign.
This is my favorite comment of all time. The Jazz slander is crazy. This guy's not running for class president. He's an athlete playing kids games, and we're covering it. So this isn't anything personal. This is also about effort. Do you remember just a second ago you were talking about effort? Isn't effort? Would you consider effort, consistent effort, part of athleticism? Because I feel like
I think so.
it is. If a guy won't give you his top speed 70, 80% of the time, how fast is he? I think that's also a question.
Yes, I agree with that, because it's like also a big part of athleticism is conditioning, right? You have to be a conditioned athlete. So if I don't know if Jazz is doing it just because, and I'm not trying to crap on Jazz, the Jazz slander, all that. I've probably been one of his biggest fans. I'm the one that wanted him, so I'm not going to hear that I'm slandering Jazz at all.
So did I.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. Literally celebrated when he was traded to the Yankees, which I predicted also. But anyway, the whole thing here is, to your point, I think effort. You can be a great athlete and not put in the effort, but I would say the tiebreaker to me is conditioning. And I don't know for sure if you're just like not putting in the effort just because you don't want to, or if it's literally because you have some sort of kind of off. You're off a little bit because of your conditioning, right? I don't know. I'm making an inference based on what I'm watching. So if that's the case, well, I know Jason Dominguez doesn't have any sort of limitation. That dude is always hustling, always on the base paths. Now, in the field, maybe not so much. I think he does play it a little bit, and maybe in a weird way. Now, again, now I sound like I'm just throwing shade at everybody, but in a weird way, I feel like Trent Grisham's kind of lackadaisical approach in the outfield does kind of rub off on Jason Dominguez. And I think Cody Bellinger, he'll play with Cody Bellinger, and then he'll see Bellinger run down a fly ball and be like, oh, yeah, that's how I should play it. And then you saw him the other day after playing with Bellinger, he ran into the wall. Well,
that's fair. If you're part of a science fair group and you happen to join forces with like one of the biggest nerds in the class, like you can either use it as an opportunity to like use that guy as a crutch, or that person elevates you. All of a sudden they're like, hey man, call me as soon as class is over. I want to talk about brainstorm the idea. I've been part of those projects where I'm like the second or third fiddle in those groups, and those people make you better. That's also part of the attraction of Cody Bellinger and bringing him on the roster. You bring players here that care about the details. Fly ball to left field. Cody Bellinger, I guess technically, according to Bellinger, says, I got in his way. And now all of a sudden you have two players learning and talking to each other. Those players got better that day. It wasn't just some mental mistake that all of a sudden a month later is going to happen the exact same way. No, just certain players around you make you better. So yeah, my mom says that, fun fact, I did all of Gary's projects. No, she doesn't. She used to. I think she did all my projects up until like 8th grade. But yeah, we got a super chat here. Don't know if I'm going to do it at all. Says, Moon Pearls, thank you for the 5.
Thank you.
Most importantly, for supporting the channel. We really appreciate it. He says, hey guys, love the channel. This is so random. But on a completely unrelated note, what are your thoughts on Joey Badass? Also, what are your top 7 favorite albums of all time? Well, I'll tell you this.
I don't even know who Joey Badass is. Full disclosure.
I have no idea who that is. I have no idea who that is at all. So
wait, top 7 all time for Joey Badass, or just top 7 all time?
I mean, I don't know, but I know one thing's for certain. The 5,000 people who are going to watch this podcast are not going to want to hear who I think the 4th best album is of all time. So Moon Pearls, shoot me a DM on Twitter. I'll be more than happy to answer this question.
How about drop your favorite?
My favorite album of all time?
Yeah, that way we're at least, answering some of it.
Yeah, I got to do something. I'll probably just go the Eminem Show. It was the first album my mom ever bought me with cursing in it. She actually let me buy the Little John and the East Side Boys album with, what is it? Get Low, To the Windows, to the Walls. And then she heard it unedited for the first time, and I had no idea what it really was. And she heard it and made me return it. So, yeah. So the Eminem Show ended up being first.
We're not doing top 7 albums, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, my favorite would be Vessels by Starset. They're my favorite band. Where?
Okay.
It's right here. So there
I've never even heard of that group.
Yeah, you have. I showed them to you.
You did, but I don't. I've never
days.
heard it before you said anything.
Yeah. So real quick, Starset. They're a cinematic rock group. So there you go. Check them out. Heavily inspired by David Bowie. They don't sound like David Bowie. They sound like Breaking Benjamin. So yeah.
Yeah, all that was just Mandarin. Yeah, what do we have next, by the
way? Yeah, all that was Mandarin. What do we have next? No, I like the way we covered the Jason Dominguez thing, I think was fair because we acknowledged that he's a very good athlete, right? But that's what is so frustrating about his lack of defense because it's not like I don't know. I don't think it's an effort thing, Gary. I just don't. I think it is one of those things where he just doesn't know how to play left field at the big league level like a professional right now. I think he's playing like a minor leaguer, and I think he'll have his moments where he steps up, makes a nice play, but he doesn't look comfortable there, And I think that does come with time. And I think also you're adjusting the exit velo goes through the roof when you go from AAA to the major leagues. So I also feel like he's getting used to that, the jumps and everything. That's what I'm noticing. I think in night games, I think he's actually better than during the day. That's what I would say.
What top prospect has ever been like, I'm not comfortable in the outfield? Who's that? What player is that? Literally, like Fernando Tatis Jr. is like, I'm a shortstop. They're like, you're in right. And he's like, I'm a Gold Glover.
Yeah, well, I mean, Gary Sanchez was a catcher, and I don't think he's ever comfortable catching. And like, no one ever really thought to be like, you know what, maybe he's not a catcher.
But to some degree, if someone says, hey, he's just not comfortable, it's almost like people, when they tell you, yeah, I just am not a good test taker, they're really just not, they're not that good at school. That's really what it is. It has nothing to do with you being a test taker. You just don't know the answers. If you knew the equation, you just put the answer down, but you don't.
I think also, I don't know. I get what you're saying. I do understand where people say I'm not a good test taker. Under pressure, like those pressure environments, being in that like gym with like all those people. It reminds me of
Step Brothers. They're like, we're not good around computers. I can't sit at a desk for more than 45 minutes, whatever it was. But no, I mean, I guess
but that's how I feel. Like I feel like it's a pressure
traditional outfielder. His job is to play outfield. He's been an outfielder since we brought him in the organization at 16 years old. Was he 16?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Or was he 11?
I don't think he played when it was the 11. I don't think he played when he was 16, but yeah. I think my biggest thing here is that he's still a work in progress. It's that simple. We could get into the semantics and the little nuanced details, but like really, what's the point? We'll let this guy play it out. He showed some good stuff. I'll say this, he is astronomically better in the field than he was when I saw him in March. So I can tell you that. Full disclosure, in March, I was ask Gary. Oh, yeah, ask Gary. I was texting you like, we have a problem. Like,
there's no argument
problem.
It's improved, which is absolutely what we had to see. If it wasn't improved, I would say he's in designated hitter territory. But given what it looks like now, one day he seems to be just making the smart plays. Yeah, he lets balls dunk in front of him. The analytics say he probably could have caught that ball, right? But he catches the ball that's to him. It's not a problem. He's going to be able to make the throws. He still has the raw speed. But when you're making poor reads on fly balls that still should be caught, it's going to be very noticeable, especially in one-run games, which we had today. So, and Vinny wants to know real quick about Lau from Tampa for third base. What do you think about him or just third base in general? Because it's either the Yankees don't make a move and they go young, and you have to trust another young player, not just to help us in the regular season, but they're going to be taking postseason at-bats. So what do you think? Because I feel like it's Jazz Chisholm is going to be thrown back over to third base, and DJ is going to be left at second. That's just my opinion.
I've never been a big Brandon Lau fan. He's another one of those guys that gets mentioned a lot. And his defense is really lacking. But if I was going to go out and get anybody, I would get his teammate. I almost said Isak Paredes. No, not him. I'm totally blank on the guy's name. He could play first base. What I don't know what it is today. Yes, Yandy. Yeah, I like Yandy. Okay. Now, I haven't checked on his numbers lately or anything like that, so apologies in advance. But, yeah, I mean, let's just... It's better to show people what I'm looking at, because this is... I'm not saying it is the Bible, but I do care about Baseball Savant. And that is Yandy, right? So
I mean something.
His fielding is non-existent. Like, they're basically not even playing him in the field. So that would be an issue. That's my thing, is that I need a guy that can be average fielding-wise, although basically they're saying he's average. He's just not qualified because he hasn't played enough. But I need these numbers, Gary. Like, this, I need this. I need to see average xAV velo. I need to see expected batting averages 296. He has a 242. He had
we're essentially getting no pop from third base.
330. Yeah. So this to me, and he's having a down year, but these numbers suggest that it's about to go up. It's like the Juan Soto thing that we were talking about. Juan Soto isn't going to continue to struggle because his numbers point to the fact that over the course of time, it's going to work out for him. So
I don't know. There's guys on MLB Network who, I don't remember who it was, but they were like, his bat speed's down. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I saw that. That was the dumbest thing ever.
What was the point? What was the point of that? His bat speed's down. I'm like, if he was 34,
you might not like him, but like, dude, be unbiased in your analysis. This is insane. He's turning this around. His 237 batting average isn't going to stay 237. So, yeah. And then someone said Jung. I don't think Jung's going to be available. I think that the Rangers are too good.
Yeah, guys, that's the prerequisite. You're not trading for a player more times than not. I mean, the majority of teams that think they're going to do squat in October, wild card or not, winning division, wild card, they're not just going to trade you a player that a contender can use. No, they trade away contenders. Like, they trade players away to contenders because they have nothing to do with them and they want to reset their clock. They want talent that'll help them 2-3 years from now. So that should be your prerequisite to whether or not the Yankees can trade for a player. Is that player on a team that really can't do squat? If the answer is yes, we can open the door for a conversation. And I would say, we just mentioned a player off the second place Tampa Bay Rays. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, and Suarez, I don't. First off, he's 33. I don't think the Diamondbacks are giving up. I know they're below 500 now. I don't think they're giving up. No. And I'm not in love with Suarez. I know he got off to that great start, and everybody remembers he had 4 home runs in a game or something. But his numbers are not great, and he's not a good fielder. He's just not a good fielder. So you need to find somebody who's a decent fielder. They don't need to be a Gold Glover. Although, does that even mean anything anymore? Anyway, they just decent fielder, and you need to have an above average bat. And that will be essentially the upgrade that you're looking for. Who mentioned Urias? Are you talking Ramon? Or are you talking Luis?
Well, YOLO has it right here.
Ramon. Okay.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, better batting average, but I'm really all about having a slugging guy at third. Cuz otherwise I'll just kind of roll with the punches with DJ LeMahieu, Peraza, with Bibas. I'm looking for an upgrade, a guy that can generate runs. I want to get a guy if Paul Goldschmidt could play third, that would be amazing, because then Ben Rice could just play first. Or other way around. But
well, that's the hard part. The Yankees have found a way to put bats on the field, but they don't necessarily have positions designated to go over to third base.
Antoine says Royce Lewis, who I've said is somehow, some way going to end up a Yankee someday. He is horrendous this year. I think he also got hurt too, so he's always hurt. That's the problem. Yeah, I got to be honest with you. There's just not many options. There's really not. I think
Royce Lewis is hurt enough that he's not even worth a flyer.
No.
If he was a free agent, I'd be like, hey, why don't you just come on down? We've got depth at the position. We could throw DJ on there if he falls apart. But Royce Lewis, there's just no possible way. Oh, by the way, can I bring up that ball that O'Neal Cruz hit
That's
today?
why I teed you up.
Oh, my God. This has nothing to do with the Yankees. He hit a ball 123 today. This ball, first of all, it was one of the only times I've ever watched this game, this sport, where the contact and the velocity of which the ball left the yard, it actually looked like the baseball was made of some other material other than what everybody else was playing with. It looked like he hit a marble. Just this ball, if it hit a fan, it killed him.
I know. That's just crazy.
120, and Tony has it here, 122.9 miles an hour. Just for reference, guys, this is the hardest baseball ever hit in the history of the sport since we started recording it. Now, have there been baseballs hit harder? Maybe. But 123, that's harder than any baseball you've ever seen Giancarlo hit for this team, for the Marlins or the Yankees. Silly stuff.
Yeah, no, that's just nuts.
Can he play third?
Well, you know what's interesting? Was it Cruz originally a shortstop?
Yes, he was.
He always intrigued me. I mean, part of me is is he a little overrated? Maybe, but I feel like he's finally kind of coming into his own age, 26.
No, he's slightly overrated. He is. And overrated isn't a bad thing. Remember, Bryce Harper won.
I know.
He literally won the vote from the players that he was the most overrated player. So it's essentially what are your expectations and how you're talked about versus what your production is. So a lot of people just associate overrated with he sucks and he was supposed to be good. I don't see overrated that way. So as far as what MLB The Show thought O'Neal Cruz is going to be and what Instagram highlights were telling us he was going to be, you think O'Neal Cruz was going to, I don't know, you thought he'd be some 285 hitter where his Baseball Savant page doesn't tell you that he swings and misses more than 95% of the league. So he has obviously a ceiling that not many players can match, but at some point I hope he puts it together because it'd be good for the game.
No, I definitely agree with that. I like the player. I do. And that was pretty big time. So let's get into, we'll use Savant again. We'll bring it up. JC Escara had himself a career day. Now, I'm not advocating, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying he should be playing over Wells, but now his batting average is up to 244. He has an OPS at 752, and his on-base percentage is 352. Wells is not even 300 right now. So there is a legitimate argument to be made that Austin Wells should be splitting time with JC Escarra right now. And when you look at what Escarra struggles with, Austin Wells struggles with. When you look at what Austin Wells is good at, Escarra is good at. But Escarra is not chasing like Wells. He's not whiffing like Wells. He's not striking out like Wells. And he's walking more than Wells. So of course, in the percentages, he hasn't played a ton, only 54 plate appearances. But what are your thoughts? Because I watched him today, and I thought I watched Robinson Cano serving it to left field on that opposite.
He has a pretty swing. This is my opinion on this JC Escarra, Austin Wells. It's not a debacle. It's just this situation we found ourselves in of late. Mm-hmm. I trust JC, and this isn't just recency bias. This is also just reading the tea leaves, watching the at-bats. I trust him with a bat in his hand more right now than Austin Wells. But I know Austin Wells has a higher ceiling. Yeah. But at the same time, Jake, I do know, and you mentioned this literally last show, framing is not going to matter nearly as much next year. So how concerned am I developing a player in our, on our roster at the catcher's position where his literal strength, the number one thing about him, is about to matter significantly less? Yeah, honestly, I don't really care who catches. If I saw JC tomorrow, I'm not going, where's Wells? I wouldn't say that because I don't believe Austin Wells has shown a consistent enough bat for me to worry about whether or not he plays. Last season, he was playing well when he was on the field, and all of a sudden I see Trevino and I say, well, what's he done to play over this player? He's hitting. And mind you, now we're sitting here, we watched Austin Wells disappear in the most important months of the season. It's exactly what happened. We go into spring training, we let it go, we talk about what's good about him, and then you said, well, I hope he's just a slow starter. Well, he had a horrible end to a season, and he has a horrible start to a season for the second year in a row. I'm not broken up about him losing playing time to this guy. I'm just not. So I'm rooting for him. Obviously, it's a cool story. 30-year-old former Uber driver, as they like to say. It's just a cool story, cool swing. I'm rooting for JC.
Yeah, I like the guy. And, it was brought up in our comments section, and it's only happened. I was trying to find it, but I just don't think we're going to have it much because it only happened late in games when they were winning. But he has played third as well. So typically speaking, you don't want your backup catcher to play in the field because he's your backup catcher, but you also have Ben Rice. So they have three catchers on this roster. Unfortunately, there's just nothing here on him. I wanted to see if there was anything, for third base, but we got Vinny Carbone saying put JC at third. And then Ray made me laugh here. I hear Jake talk about JC. All I hear is trade value. Well, then you also have Jesus Rodriguez, who, by the way, he does play with grit. Sorry, Gary, I totally messed up whatever you were clicking on. But
I don't think I meant to click anything.
Okay, yeah, I think something came up. All right, we have to address it. Did you see the Yes Network acknowledge Jesus Rodriguez's existence?
No.
They did. They had like a quick graphic with the three prospects. It was him, it was Cam Schlittler, and Brock Selvage.
They don't do that unless something's going to happen.
Yeah, but Selvage is in like rookie ball or whatever, Florida Complex League, so he's not coming up or anything. But maybe there was like a trade or something. Right? Why would they show the 8th, the 10th, and the 30th?
I don't know. We got into this offseason, and all of a sudden they started talking about Caleb Durbin. They were being deliberate. Caleb Durbin, second baseman of the future. Jake, what happened within 3 business days? Dude was traded. Goodbye.
Yep. It's true.
And we're not saying a trade is imminent. What we're saying is the Yankees never, and I mean never, say anything unintentionally. Everything is calculated about this organization, whether you like it or not. That's something that I have come accustomed to. Like, I have grown accustomed to the fact that if the Yankees are saying, I really love this prospect down in AA, they're not saying it because they really love that prospect in AA. They're saying it because they want another team to really want said prospect so we can make an exchange for this player that I really want. That's how Brian Cashman does his business, because per usual, he really is. Like, he's not a dumb guy, but he certainly wants to be the smartest in the room. You can just tell. I still have that image of him throwing his hoodie up. You remember that?
I know.
That
GIF? In the sleeping bag, yeah.
One of the dumbest gifs. He knew he was on camera. He's like...
Yeah, well, I mean, look, he turned Caleb Durbin into Devin Williams. And I don't even think Nestor Cortez is pitching right now. It'd be great if I could spell his name. Yeah. He's not pitching right now.
No, there's certainly...
This is like one of the
Brian
more
Cashman has done
lopsided
things
trades
well.
I've ever seen. If Devin Williams returns to form, like if this is the start of that, which it looks like it is, this is one of the most lopsided trades.
But, I mean, yes, it obviously has to continue because there's just more value. Devin Williams right now is an eighth inning guy. So, really, if Nestor Cortez gets healthy and he's making quality starts, he finishes his season with like a 4.20 ERA, 4.15, a starting pitcher is still more valuable than an eighth inning arm. That's just my perspective on it. So I don't think it's it's like necessarily a lopsided trade. Do I think the Yankees won the trade? Now, probably. But again, I'm not here to criticize Brian Cashman's moves. I guess my point, Brian Cashman usually tells us stuff because he has intention behind it. And I don't think we should just assume the Yankees and Yes Network threw something up on the broadcast because interns decided it was a good idea. They could have said this 2 weeks ago, but they chose not to. They decided to do it today. So I'm interested to find out what that reasoning is.
I am too. I'd like to see J-Rod get called up. He's had a 324 batting average his entire minor league career. Narvaez is an interesting one because the Yankees got a top 5 pitching prospect, top 5 prospect in their farm system, pitching wise. And it's funny, kind of, molding this into what you were talking about, where I kind of disagree a little bit, in that you were saying how can you really empty your farm system? I think they make this trade because they saw that they had kind of emptied their farm system for Juan Soto. So I think they felt like they needed another pitcher, and they went out and they got another pitcher for Narvaez.
Well, who did they all give up for Juan Soto? They got rid of Michael King. Obviously, we took back Trent Grisham. Yeah,
King, they traded away Brito. They traded away, there was another pitcher. I know they traded away Thorpe. And then also, like you look at the Joey Gallo trade, like they compile. And I don't necessarily feel like the Yankees, that's why they
give up. Well, what did we give up for Joey Gallo?
It was Otto, Duran, and the guy that was just playing against the Yankees. Oh, what was his name? He just was hitting in the lineup.
Well, I guess my overwhelming perspective on it is I don't remember the Yankees ever saying, well, here are our top 3 guys. We're going to trade 2 of them.
Randy Vasquez, okay.
Right? I've never been like, oh, Jason Dominguez, Anthony Volpe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Gary Sanchez, like some of the young bombers. We've had a lot of number 1 prospects, like your top guy. I rarely see the Yankees say, I'll give up my top guy. I'm going for it.
No,
whoever that player is, I just don't see it often.
Well, like these are their top prospects right now.
Correct.
And these 2 were just drafted.
Yes.
So that's what I mean is like Chase Hampton just had to get Tommy John surgery. He's done for the year.
That's right.
That's the guy they chose. They basically were like, we'll give you King and Thorpe, but you can't touch Chase Hampton in the Soto deal.
Who's now 7th in our system. Now, let me ask you a quick question. Mm-hmm. You see the top of this list, right? I want you to leave it up there.
Yeah.
George Lombard Jr., who a lot of us are excited about.
Yeah.
You've got Spencer Jones, who's sitting 2nd ranked in this farm system. What's the highest prospect on this list? And they're there in numeric order. What's the highest person on this list that you think is actually reasonable to be traded? Not just like you think you would trade him, but do you think Brian Cashman would trade him? That's my question.
Right there.
I can't even see your mouse.
Oh, Spencer Jones right here.
So you believe Spencer Jones could be traded? Okay.
Yes. I think that they are going to have to trade one of these guys. Not saying I think they should, but if they want to make a legitimate move, they're going to have to part with one of these guys. My guess is Ben Hess never sees the Bronx. I think Bryce Cunningham's going to end up being their guy.
Okay. I mean, I would be all for it. I agree with the perspective.
Arias
Spencer
will be
Jones
gone.
has no role. He shouldn't have any role. How many outfielders can you have? The top guy you're going after is going to be, right, Kyle Tucker. The Yankees are going to be going after this player if he's a free agent this offseason. You've already got Aaron Judge. You've got Cody Bellinger, who's probably going to opt in onto that $25 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Jason Dominguez, who's your top prospect right now. You need Spencer Jones, another outfielder? Why? Why do you need it? So my thing, he's sitting second ranked in your system. In my opinion, we just watched trades, right? You watch Cincinnati make that trade with Luis Castillo. We wouldn't give him Volpe. All of a sudden, Seattle's like, we'll give you this guy, right? Well, I think it was, who was it again that they gave up?
By the way, this is the
I think
guy
it was Marte.
they got for Narvaez. So I think clearly they really like J.C. Escara for this roster, right? And they turned a player. I think they maximized Narvaez's. I mean, Narvaez wasn't a top 30 prospect, I'm pretty sure, and they got it the 6th overall guy in their farm. And he's only ever pitched well, so he's in high A. But you know,
Yeah, I guess the question is being ranked a certain place in someone's system doesn't necessarily mean anything because
he was top 10 on the Red Sox. That's all I know.
Yeah, which is definitely promising because the Red Sox
right.
do have a better system than us.
William Wallace.
I
Trey
guess
Jones
my
for a soda
point, this
machine.
is my overwhelming point. It's the last thing I'll say when we get on to tomorrow's game.
Yeah.
Is that, I don't even know. Do we have tomorrow off, by the way?
No. No,
Okay,
they put
beautiful.
this is part of the West Coast trip.
Okay, beautiful. I want to see if the Yankees will trade a top prospect because they tell us they're in win now mode. We really want to win a title. We believe in this team. Okay, show it to me. Put somebody up on the market that'll acquire you a player that's not just going to give you improvement at a certain position, but they're going to go get a player that you can trust when it really matters. That's my thing. So I personally, I want to see Spencer Jones, Ben Hess, right, Roderick Arias. I want to see one of these guys traded, put together in some package. Go get me a player that you really trust because this team they're playing well. We're playing some great baseball right now. We have a weak division. I want to see the Yankees get significantly better, regardless of what this roster looks like, how they're playing. I want to see it. I do. Because we have absolutely no need whatsoever for Spencer Jones. He has no role in this organization.
Yeah, if they're going to go after Kyle Tucker, then it doesn't really make any sense. But, you know, if they still feel like he's a guy, then, I mean, they might have to move on. I don't think you can move on from both of these guys. I think, I mean, I would prefer to keep them both. Arias, he has no role. He's blocked. He could not be any more blocked than he is. So he'll be traded. He's also still in single A. So, you know, and he's 20. So it's not like, you know, there's a rush, but Lombard Jr. is already in double A.
Can you imagine being 20 years old and people are on like podcasts going, he's washed, he's falling off? Like, we
Yeah,
didn't say
no, that is
but,
not what I said, but I know what
no,
you mean.
but like
yeah.
our chat, there's people who are like, yeah, Arias, he's just not playing well. We're not sure what's going on. And the dude's getting critiqued. It is interesting because like these are such young people.
Well, look at this
and
guy.
It's wild.
Their,
The dude
their,
is 16.
their latest signing, international signing.
He looks like his picture, everything about him looks like an auto-generated name. He just looks fake. Look at him.
He's 16. That's crazy. 16-year-old
That's AI.
shortstop. Hey, you know what that is right there? That's them. That's Volpe Insurance. All right, Volpe, we've given you 7 years. You're not good.
That dude's in the system, and he's more than likely, if he pans out, you won't have heard his name. He won't be in the big leagues until like 2032.
The one I keep hearing about is this guy, Carlos LaGrange.
Yes, I've heard that a lot.
They say
too.
his stuff is just insane. And if he's able to work on that control, which they said he's gotten better at, he is going to be dominant. So we'll see. He's 22. He's still in high A, but he's 6'7". And yeah, I mean, then you got guys like B-Boss, and there's Beater. And it's funny, we actually know these names because we did our little draft coverage. Thatcher Hurd, right. And yeah, Griffin Herring. I think he just pitched well the other night. Grayson Carter. Yeah, so
look who's number 30.
I know. That's our guy J-Rod, who, as you can see here, has hit over 300 in pretty much every year except for that year.
He reminds me of that dude who was that catcher who just raked? He got traded by some other organization last year. And he was hitting like 350. I can't remember who it was.
Are you talking about Augustin?
No, it wasn't with our organization. I can't remember who it was. I'll pull it up for you, and then we'll pull it up next show.
This is another catcher to look out for, by the way. He has a 909 OPS, 306 batting average. He's got 10 homers. He's got pop. He's a solid defender. He's either going to get
minor leagues. He's probably in a hotel right now, just eating Pizza Hut.
I know. He's either going to get an opportunity with the Yankees or they're going to trade him this offseason, I think. And also keep this in mind, Gary, and I think we've talked about this before. A lot of these guys are going to have to be traded because of the Rule 5 draft.
Okay.
So that's another thing. Like, you can't keep guys in your minor league system forever. Otherwise, they become eligible for the Rule 5 draft.
I don't know. Brian Cashman seems to disagree.
Well, they lose guys all the time to the Rule 5 draft. So
he's like, why use this prospect when I could just run him into the ground and then just
the Knicks won.
DFA
Let's
him.
go. How about that?
The Knicks won?
Yeah, I guess they won. I didn't see it, but obviously I was doing this show with you. Yeah, of course I didn't see it.
Yeah, we had it in the corner.
Yeah. Rooting for you guys, but the Knicks are not like my team. It would be the Lakers. But anyway, that's really it as far as the game today. I thought, it was kind of annoying to watch, and the hour 45-minute delay was insane. Glad they got it in because, Gary, if they didn't get this game in today, we talked about this. I don't think people realize they would have had to go on Thursday, which is their off day. They would have had to go back to Colorado before they play the Dodgers and finish and pick up in the top of the 5th inning. And they would have had to put Judge on third, which is silly. So people actually, by the way, Gary, would have been able to go to that game. Like, it just started, all right, we're in the top of the 5th inning. Like, you know how ridiculous that is? It's such a waste of time, especially against a team that has 9 wins and hadn't won a series all year. It still hasn't. But anyway, yeah, real
Sick
quick.
Over, by the way, with Will Warren. We were like, yeah, he's going to hit the over. We get the rain delay. He is in great shape
He hit
pitch
it.
count-wise. What?
He hit it, 6.5. He went over 6.5.
I thought it was 7.5. Let's go.
Yeah, no, we got
Let's
everything.
go.
Ben Rice in the 9th inning had that double. We got it all.
I thought we lost.
Nope.
We'll take it.
But yeah, the pitching was good today. Loaizaga, I thought, got hosed on that. Well, we already talked about it at nauseum with Dominguez. And
Yes.
Warren got hosed because the guy was efficient through 4 innings. And he didn't get a chance to pitch again because they took an hour and 45 minutes to get back on the field. And aside from that, it was just kind of a boring day. And I would say the day would really go to, JC Escarra. And these guys, once again, won a close game. And I don't want to take anything away from them winning another close game on the road. But, man, it's hard. And I'm just glad they're at a Coors Field. I know I'm not the only one that agrees with that. I know there are a lot of people complaining. I will complain all day. I could not stand Coors Field. I understand the ball leaves the yard quick, but I definitely see why the Rockies, there's not just a ton of players with a ton of home runs because it's hard to hit homers in this park, Gary. It just is. 424 fly ball, a sacrifice fly. Dominguez should have had a grand slam. So, yeah, glad they got out of it, ready to move on. They're going up against an Angels team that is rejuvenated. You've seen them. They've won how many games in a row?
I don't know. I don't know.
No,
if
they
the
just
streak's still
lost.
alive.
They just
I was
lost
going to
two,
say, I think
but-
they just lost, but the point remains. I mean,
Yeah.
they've won like 9 of the last 10. They're winning a lot of games. So, yeah, good luck saying that starting pitcher. I don't even want to try. But technically,
you.
according to MLB, I don't know if you know who's starting tomorrow, but it's currently 2 to be determined. I'm going to assume we're
Yarbrough.
going with what's his face?
Ryan Yarbrough versus Jack
Yarbrough.
Kochanowicz.
There you have it. He's Mr. To be determined, Ryan Yarbrough.
I know. He gets no respect. He's always listed as TBD.
These poor other like fans of these fan bases, they're like looking up, they're like, who are we facing? Oh, the Yankees are coming to town. Who are they pitching? Oh, it's to be determined. I can't wait. We need to beat the brakes off them. And then all of a sudden, Ryan Yarbrough gets announced, and then he goes like 5 shutout, we win.
Yeah.
He's got to piss a lot of fans off.
Oh, definitely. Well, the thing, Kochanowicz does not. This does not jive for him. I don't think. I don't think this is a good fit at all going up against this Yankee team. He's 3-5 with a 5.03 ERA, 1.58 WHIP, 53 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's given up 58 hits, 35 strikeouts, and 27 walks, 9 home runs. So, not like this is a golden opportunity for the Yankees to get this series off with a bang. And I think they're going to do it. This is an easier park to hit at than Coors, in my opinion. So
I feel like we're about to see a lunar eclipse. Anthony Volpe at bat, who has 0 plate discipline, versus this guy who can't stop walking guys. I mean, literally, it's like 2 asteroids running into each other.
Oh, and get this. He's a righty. They're always at a disadvantage. When you pitch a righty against the Yankees, just prepare for damage. I'm telling you right now. If he was a lefty, it'd be a little different. This lineup does struggle against lefties. Yankees money line is profitable again. I'm glad to tell you that, Gary. So let's bring it up on ProfitX. Sick. Okay.
I love that we just had a huge boost in viewership. A bunch of people coming for the Knicks game. And by the way, guys, if you did miss it, I know you didn't. Final score of the Knicks, 106-100, 20-point comeback.
Wow, really?
20-point comeback.
Oh,
Good for them.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want them to pull it off. I do. I think it's better. Plus, our viewers deserve it.
Yeah, and also the NBA doesn't want to have the Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, it literally.
Oh, you don't think those are big market teams?
Oh my God. Oh my.
Oh, the NBA would lose their mind if they have a chance to have the Knicks in the championship, and if it ends up being in Indiana, they're going to be so pissed. You'll never know it, but behind the scenes, they'll be freaking out.
Oklahoma, Indiana. It's a snooze fest. So
anyway,
I'm rooting for the Knicks.
Yeah, I am too. Yankees, I'm going to take the money line here, Gary. This is profitable again. Yarbrough, I'm going to say he goes back to the well, and I'm going to say he goes over his strikeouts. And I think it's going to be 4.5. So I think he gets 5 strikeouts tomorrow against this Angels lineup. And then total bases. That's interesting. I don't know. What do you have first before I throw a total bases out there?
Well, I'm going to actually go with Ben Rice. I think he's going to be back in the lineup tomorrow, and I still love the contact. I know people keep looking at his numbers. It's easy to ignore the hard contact when it's just not falling. I think it falls tomorrow for Ben Rice. I think Aaron Boone's going to be intentional about getting him back in there. And like, obviously, I'm not Aaron Boone. I have no idea he could be sitting, and that seems to be kind of how rotations go for this team. But yeah, I'm going total bases for Ben Rice tomorrow. And by the way, I wanted to read a stat for you and also make sure I give someone some acknowledgement here. Yeah. Did you know Aaron Judge is on pace for 466 total bases when the record is 457 by Babe Ruth in 21?
Oh, my God.
Do you understand? Oh, welcome in, Cheeks. We missed you. Welcome back.
Hey.
Yeah, I didn't miss that, Jake. I read all the chats. And I want to read this super because obviously we don't miss supers on this channel.
Yes, of course.
Jeremy says, and that's actually what I was about to get to. Jeremy Sanchez, thank you for the 2, says Freddie Peralta is our best bet. He's cheap. Thoughts? Well, Jake, before I kick it to you, I think we both agree this is an arm that you can toss the ball to in an important game. He's got that type of stuff. He's not just this depth arm. That's what I'm excited about. Any player that you can name, I don't care off what team, they just can't be off a Contender. that team where you can get a player and he can actually be trusted as being one of your better players, in that, area of the field. So I think Peralta can be that guy. What says you, Jake?
I think it'd be funny to have 2 Milwaukee Brewers join this team that are known for their changeups. Like, Freddie Peralta throws one of the best changeups in the league, regardless of reliever or closer or starting pitcher.
Highly regardless.
I am very high on this guy. I mean, he had 200 strikeouts, 200 plus strikeouts back-to-back seasons. I think he would absolutely thrive with the Yankees and Matt Blake. And I feel like Matt Blake could get more out of his slider too. So I would say, yeah, if you can get Freddie Peralta, I have had this guy marked for a while. I think what would probably go back in return would either be Clark Schmidt or Will Warren. So this would be like you upgrading it essentially. But
they get something more controllable, cheaper.
Yes.
Okay.
I would be for Freddie Peralta. I really would. And I would lean more towards a bat, but again, Gary, who's going to be available that can help at third? I think it's probably going to end up being LeMahieu at third or Jazz at third, LeMahieu at second, which is kind of where I'm leaning. I think they put Jazz back at third. But
right.
If we heard, and we did, with the pitcher, well, Freddie Peralta, and he did also mention starting pitchers, does it not feel like this year we're going to get another like Jordan Montgomery type of trade? Just because you're good for us doesn't mean you're our guy. Like, we don't really trust you in the postseason.
Which I actually sort of agreed with the decision at the time. Like, I know technically.
Oh, I know you did. Yeah.
He actually ended up going out there. He was pitching big games, and he actually proved the Yankees wrong. Yeah, I can pitch on the big stage. I can actually do that. Now, obviously, he's not pitching for the Yankees, so there's a difference between pitching with the Rangers. And I hate to say that because then it almost feels like there's nothing you can do. Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, is it the same as pitching for the Rangers against the Diamondbacks as you're pitching in a pennant race for the Yankees? Like, I think Brian Cashman kind of knows it's not the same. So, yeah, like I said, I agreed with it. And I wanted to get to a super thanks that we had from Caitlin's dad with the 2. Obviously, a super thanks being essentially a super chat where this is for now our pre-recorded video. You watched it after the fact. So I didn't want someone to give us a super thanks and then just went into the ether. I wanted to thank Caitlin's dad. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I love that. I love that you tracked that down.
Oh, yeah, I had it screenshot on my phone. Just wait. I have a bunch of storage. That's why I pay for the extra storage. I pay like $4.99 a month to have 40,000 photos. So I was able to take that screenshot.
And you're a photographer, so it's like nonstop photos. Yeah, so I got strikeouts over. I'm expecting to be 4.5 for Yarbrough, and I got Yankees money line, and my total bases is going to go to Austin Wells over 1.5. I think Wells hit well yesterday, not today because he didn't play, but he actually has a career .333 batting average, only 12 at bats against the Angels.
This is all Jake. I want no part of Austin Wells. Which, by the way, when Jake goes out on a limb, I let him do it. Because if I don't, he'll be on me tomorrow about wasting our money. So, yeah, I'll let you do this one. But like I said, guys,
do you have another one?
This is a gentleman's bet. My gentleman's bet, Jake. If you want to click it, you absolutely can. Mm-hmm. We can take the pick of Ben Rice. I think Ben Rice is going to be a major.
He came through today
tomorrow. Yeah.
So I mean, hey. I think, yeah, Wells just saw Escara have 3 hits. Yeah, he'll come through tomorrow. Volpe hits 182 against the Angels, so I'm not feeling great about Volpe. But Wells, limited sample size, but he came through, and he has 2 doubles, and so yeah, I like Austin Wells tomorrow. Total bases. Tony's feeling Peraza, but. Anyway, that is Profit X. If you haven't already, you can sign up, use our code YANKSU, let them know that we sent you there, and that's going to do it. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about it. Kochanowicz taking on Yarbrough at Angels Stadium, and that is going to be at 9:38. So we'll see you very late tomorrow, unfortunately.
Yeah, and make sure you guys subscribe and like the video, of course.